We are looking at a 5,000 share order.
Hello, developers. Welcome back to Google Cloud Live. Since we are officially in the heat of July here in the United States, we've decided to bring a little summer flavor to today's episode. Although it is not summer everywhere, so if you're tuning in, let us know in the comments where you are joining us from. Today, I'm joined by Billy Jacobson, a senior developer advocate here at Google.
Hi, I'm as you said, a senior developer advocate here. I'm Billy. I'm based in New York City, where it has been so hot for so many days in a row, and now it's finally like under 70 degrees with these huge storms. But I'm excited to be here and bringing back some summer vibes.
Amazing. Yeah, glad it cooled down a little bit. I am joining you from San Francisco. So let's get into today's topic. So vibe coding or AI-assisted coding is top of mind for a lot of folks. Maybe you've seen viral demos of developers spinning up front-end prototypes in like 30 seconds using only natural language. But with vibe coding, it's amazing, and then there's also definitely a gap between what makes a good demo and a production-ready application. So as our resident expert, Billy is going to help us bridge that gap between vibe coding and enterprise deployment. Talk to us about this. Where does the vibe end and actual engineering begin?
I think the vibe going from vibe to enterprise is like such a specific place. So I think we're gonna have a really good stream talking about all of this. So we're talking about bridging the gap between a vibe coded app to something that you're gonna deploy for more enterprise app, even if it's just internal. I think one of the big things that I always think about within infrastructure is databases. And that's just really critical for how you want to scale your prototype to something that maybe like hundreds of people or thousands or millions of users are going to be able to use. Like a database is going to be really core to that. So today we're going to play with AI Studio, and this is a great tool for generating web apps in a vibe coded way. And you can go from just a prompt to a deployable application. You could click, send it to Cloud Run, see it go live, share it with friends. And today we get to go past that and talk about some of the new integrations with databases like Cloud SQL and Firestore. And these like integrate directly with AI Studio now. There's like a one-click deployment for adding databases to your infrastructure, adding authentication, which is also another big thing for an enterprise deployment. So we're going to just explore these integrations in real time today. Actually, we want to share my screen. I can give a little sneak peek of what we're going to show off today. We've got this ice cream scooping game. Ice cream is going to fly from the sky. This movie's so slow right now. We got to catch it. And this is a really simple game, but this was all vibe coded. And under the hood, we've got a database with user authentication. We're storing high scores. There's all this stuff that we're going to go and take a closer look at throughout the day.
That is so cool. So before we dive into the demo, let's talk about this day 2 problem of making your vibe coded app more production ready and learn more about databases and authentication.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we can just start talking about all these things. So I think there's just a lot of topics and a lot of areas we're throwing at people today. So yeah, let's break some of this down a little bit more first. Because I think, if you're a vibe coder, you might be like a totally beginner developer and hearing all of these new terms for the first time: authentication, databases, querying, all this stuff. But even if you're advanced, you probably are already thinking about these things, and like these are really critical to vibe coding at any level that you're going to be at. It's not just like these things don't go away if you're vibe coding. You still have to think about them. So, let's say you've got your idea or something you've already vibe coded. So the next step is like, how can you persist that information in your application? How can you add more users to it? Make it feel like something is a live, productionized application, not just like a static service. So databases are the answer here. When I was learning to code, databases really unlocked something for me. I was like, oh, this is how you could, like, if you're making a social media app, here's how you would have the posts stored and the images and have everyone be able to connect with each other. It's like databases really take you from like a basic HTML website, it was a little bit of JavaScript or interactivity, to something that multiple people can use, interact with each other. Um, and I think that's like this really great day two for vibe coding. And within databases, there are multiple options. I mean, in the tech landscape, there are so many choices to make. But I think at least a starting point is thinking about relational versus non-relational data. Um, because it's some applications like social media is a lot more structured. So you've got your posts, you've got your users. These things are a little bit more rigid. The connections between them are really clear. Like a user makes posts, and then the posts might have comments. But you also might be making some kind of more new type of social media application. You don't know exactly how things are going to all be grouped together. And that's something great with NoSQL and a document database like that. So you can add new fields, add new relationships, add new connections a little bit more fluidly. And both have their pros and cons. Um, give me-
Very cool. So Cloud SQL is the relational option and Firestore is non-relational.
Yeah, so in AI Studio, which is going to be our focus today, there is a new integration with Cloud SQL for Postgres, and that's our relational option. And then there's also Firestore, which is one of my favorite databases to work with, and this is our NoSQL document database option. So AI Studio is making adding these into your vibe coded application just like a one click button. Now we're not going to do like manual configuration anymore. You don't have to define the schema. You don't have to integrate the database calls with your code. AI Studio is set up to do these things. It's got prompts designed to help add those integrations. For Cloud SQL, the agent's automatically going to create the Postgres schema and execute the SQL statements. And for Firestore, the agent will define a document model and queries for your app.
Oh, that's amazing. And does it help you like choose which one is a better fit for your app, or do you have kind of flexibility to make that decision
You
yourself, or
have
how does that work?
You definitely have the flexibility to make that decision. I think when we get into the AI studio, I would say like you could talk to the agent in there and say, based on this application, what do you think is going to be better? And it could probably give you some advice on how to do that. Um, so I think that's kind of one of the great things about this is it can be very opinionated on what you want to do, and maybe we'll even ask that in the chat when we're playing with it a little bit. Um,
I
and
love that.
yeah,
As a full stack developer, I can cause a bug anywhere in the stack, and I found vibe coding works best when I'm like in a conversation with the agent, making it like my programming partner, and we're bouncing ideas back and forth. But would love to hear a little bit more since I'm new to Google. What are some kind of like other benefits of Firestore?
well, I mean, Firestore is, I always think of it as like, if you don't know databases or if you're just really trying to start out, it is so beginner friendly in so many ways. There's just so much flexibility with it. So it's a document database, so you can change the structure of your data, you can change the variable types, you can do this all without having to like take your database offline, bring it online. There's not like a lot of management there. And that I think is really good when you're just building something for the first time and are just like, I want to hit the ground running. I don't want to think about this too hard in advance. And there are definitely still reasons you're going to want to like think about your schema with Firestore. If you've got certain indexes you want to do on your database. So that would be a type of query you want to run over and over, and ways to set it up to make that faster. But at a baseline, if you're like, I'm making a leaderboard for a video game, that's like probably a pretty simple way to just get started. You're just kind of storing that data, and can build on it from there. Firestore is also highly scalable and highly available. These things are really important because when you build an application, if you want to be able to start with like 5 users, probably you're giving it to a few people on your team trying it out, but you don't want to have to rewrite your whole system, redesign your architecture when you get to 1,000 users, 10,000 users. Both of these databases that the AI Studio integration supports are scalable, and I think that's a really great thing for beginners too, because if your app takes off, if you're like, this is great, let's ship this, let's start getting people on it, like, yeah, you don't want to have to be reworking everything from the ground up. It will be able to kind of scale up seamlessly, um, and also there's really high availability, so that means like you're not going to really experience a lot of downtime. This can be really important with like an e-commerce setup. You've got a store on Black Friday. You're trying to sell a bunch of things. If you're using a Firestore database, it's going to be really great at handling that load, making sure there's very little downtime, so you're not missing out on business. And Black Friday is actually like a huge issue in the database world because there's so many transactions going on. So availability and having that like those agreements as part of the service are great. Another great thing about Firestore that I don't know, we might be able to do this today, is the real-time sync. So if you're building a web app with Firestore, it can automatically sync up with the data in the database. So this means without having to do a page refresh or without having to manually set up polling. So this could be really fun in like, what are some good ways to do this if like things are changing dynamically as part of your application? So we're going to have a leaderboard today, and if we had new players constantly playing, we could have that updating in real time as people were playing and getting new high scores. I don't know how many new players we'll have today, but that's like one of the kind of places it could be. Or you could have a game where people are walking around together and like syncing up their locations or something. Although that might be more of like a WebSocket kind of server, live server type of thing. But that's definitely a really useful feature. And then like a final just shout out for Firestore is the MongoDB compatibility with Firestore. It's Firestore with MongoDB compatibility is like the name of the feature. And I think a lot of this is maybe more for those advanced developers. Like if you're using MongoDB, there is compatibility with Firestore. So that I think lets you like have a lot of flexibility with your code. You can use the MongoDB drivers and tools that you're used to. I'm actually I'm in the video for the Firestore with MongoDB compatibility videos. If you go Google that, you search that on YouTube, it's me talking about it. So that's definitely a feature I'm very familiar with.
I'm glad it supports different, flavors of NoSQL, because like being able to decouple your like front end stack from your back end stack is just like a really critical component of building production grade applications and being able to scale if you want like more than one developer to work on your project and all that stuff. So
Yeah, like the MongoDB compatibility was great because it obviously supports MongoDB, but that's kind of become a bit of an industry standard. So it just makes it easier for a lot of flexibility and maneuverability, because we want you to be using the tools that are best for you, not just our tools. And we think our tools are great, so you're going to want to use them.
great. On that note, what are some benefits of Cloud SQL for Postgres?
Yeah, so this Postgres and SQL, I've been such a non-relational database person for so many years, but recently I started playing around with Postgres and Cloud SQL. And one of the big reasons I wanted to do that was because Postgres is one of the most popular databases right now. It is just just like so pervasive in so many applications and services. And um, I'd love to see the Cloud SQL take on Postgres, the managed Postgres server. So this basically gives you a managed version of this open source software. So there's so much compatibility. As we're talking about compatibility with open source, this is that exactly. So with the managed version, we're going to give you 4 nines of availability for SLA. So this is giving you, again, that same availability for that production, that for that enterprise readiness. And it's still the same like level of Postgres that you're familiar and working with. There's a lot of great price performance and flexibility there. And there's also a bunch of new Gemini tools in Cloud SQL, things for coming up with the queries that you're looking to write. There's actually some really great query tooling there. So I built something for Cloud Next and was using Cloud SQL for Postgres, and I was doing like a vector search on it, doing this like whole like memory application. Go find my videos talking about this too. And I had was doing like a vector search on Postgres on Cloud SQL. There's like the PG vector extension, and I was able to see which queries were taking the longest, where like I could optimize certain things, how often they were running, and like really get a breakdown for each thing. And this was something I built just for a demo, but it was really easy to see, oh, this query is taking a really long time. Can I maybe make an index for this? Can I optimize my application around this? Is this the minimum latency that I'm gonna have to just expect for this because of what it's doing? Um,
That's
so
so
yeah, just
cool. Like tracking down slow queries used to be so painful and tedious when I was doing backend engineering at scale. So having a better way to do that sounds amazing.
yeah, I think like that's one of the reasons for like Cloud Postgres on Cloud SQL, because you're getting like these managed layers on top of this open source tool. So you get like you're using your regular Postgres code. So also again, that's something you port over, but then you're getting all the layers in which you can manage it really smoothly, really get deep insights into it, get alerts about different security things you can set up. So I think that's like a really another powerful tool within all of this.
Amazing. One important thing to talk about when you're discussing vibe coding is cost, because it is extremely hard to predict how your app is going to scale and what your cloud bill is going to look like, just like in general in the world. But how does this work specifically for Google Cloud?
Well, I'm just kind of finding out about this. I think it's a newer thing we're doing is the Google Cloud starter tier. I know we've had different kinds of credits and things in the past, but I feel like this cloud starter tier is so great because you don't need a credit card or a billing account, and you can do 2 full stack applications. So that kind of lets you feel like you can't charge me too much because you don't even have my card. Well, you can't charge me anything because you don't have my card. Um, so for non-relational data, so that would be Firestore, at least for AI Studio, there's the free trial offers some free quota, and all customers it's like 50,000 reads, 20,000 writes, 20,000 deletes, and a gigabyte of storage, all free per day. So that's not charged against your credits. And again, this is actually in addition to the $300 like Google Cloud free trial credit. So yeah, that is something we've been doing for a while. Is like you get a $300 free trial credit, but this gives you room to play with on top of that. And then for relational data, so this is going to be the Cloud SQL for Postgres for developers using that. Um, you get a developer edition that scales to 0. So you're only paying for the backend when your app is actually being used. Again, this is like a great thing of the scale going to millions, but also like being able to go down to 0. I think that's like one of the really nice things that AI Studio has set up for this is it's not like we're setting you up with all the right ways of like, here's the enterprise stuff we're putting directly into the vibe coding platform to make it all just like a lot more seamless, clear, easy. We're going to help you make the right choice within all of this. Like we've picked these 2 databases because these are the ways that people are vibe coding stuff. Like at Google Cloud, we've got so many different databases. We've got Spanner and Bigtable and like all these other options. And those are fantastic for very specific use cases. But like if you're vibe coding an app, you probably don't need those. Like you probably need like your SQL database or your document database. And this just really gives you like a very opinionated approach to using them.
Oh, I love that so much. Both the fact that you're not paying for infrastructure that you're not using, because we all know that sucks, and that there's very clear paths to building the kind of applications that you're going to want to build when you're vibe coding with generous limits. So you can explore that without paying too much. And then when you're ready to productionize that, we also got you. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like you can even productionize it still within the free limits. So that's also just great. Like it's sharing it more beyond just 5 users. I mean, like those are thousands of operations you're getting a day. So you can really like get a working POC out there. Wait, proof of concept. What's POV? Point of view. And get that. So we're going a little bit more beyond just like making a toy application that you're going to like share out and will just be a website that sits there. We're making it so you don't need a credit card, but you're able to like really ramp up to enterprise infrastructure. And I feel like we're just smoothing out that gap.
Awesome. So speaking of that, I am so excited to see more of this fun demo you prepared for us today
Oh
and see all
God.
this, cool features in action.
Yeah, we can share my screen and go through some of this. Also, I've got the blog post open, just talking about some of this stuff. We've got the Google Cloud Starter tier, full stack vibe coding with Cloud SQL, with Firestore and Firebase auth. We're gonna be doing the Firestore and Firebase auth today, but I just wanted to show all of this that we have available. So again, this is the game. It's still just going. I'm not gonna show the entire process generation. I've got like my starter swap here for everyone, just so because sometimes when you're saying let's start out and build like vibe code an app, it can take like 10-15 minutes to like build everything. But I just want to show the prompt that I'm using, and this is the same one I used before. And maybe by the end of all this we'll have the basic things. So I'm asking it to act as a game developer, and we're making this like scoops ice cream game. It describes the core gameplay loop that we're going to have like onions and tomatoes falling, and you're going to move the mouse back and forth, all of this. And I actually wrote the idea for this, and then I went into Gem and I was like, help me clean up this prompt to make it better for putting into like AI Studio. So I'm just going to
So
say build on this, and we'll let this go a little bit. I'll just start coding. It'll build it all out. And eventually we'll get to something like this. I'm like, is there anything interesting that's going to come up in here? It's kind of just, we'll be working. Why is it? I don't know why it's setting any of this up yet. But anyway, that'll run. So this is the base game that I've got so far. So this is taking a prompt like that and putting it in here. I think I probably like went back and forth with it a little bit of like, it wasn't maybe working exactly. So I'm trying to catch the ice cream. I'm avoiding the tomatoes. I am catching the tomatoes just so this ends early. But yeah, it's fun. It's super simple. Game over, final score. So we want to take this to the next level. And let's go do that. Let me go find my notes on some of the things that I want us to do. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go into settings, and let me walk through this slowly because we're going to go to this integration. So I'm on the main screen of AI Studio. I'm going to the settings right in the top right corner, and there are a ton of different settings. You choose which model you're using for chat. I went with Gemini Pro because I just want this to be really good. I've got the link to share it and publish it, different versions. And then integrations is going to be the big one for today. So there are actually all these Google Workspace integrations. So if you want to build an AI app on top of those, that's great. But that should be another live stream. So I'm scrolling down and we see these two new integrations here, which is the Firebase Firebase, Firestore, and Auth, and the Cloud SQL. I like to use the Firestore one because, again, I'm a NoSQL person. There's also the authentication, which I think is great. And I'm going to click that. It's just going to store it in my project, choose all of this stuff. And I will click enable this. And now it's kind of added it into here. And it gives me the opportunity to like chat with it here. Like I don't have to just say add it to the app. I can tell it a little bit more of what I want it to do. So what do I want it to do? Let's put add login with Google button with the Firebase auth, and then store the player's scores in the Firestore database. And once the game is over, show a leaderboard with those scores. So let's like run this and see what happens.
Oh, but that was really just like 3 clicks. Like, that's
It's
amazing.
like it's sometimes it'll be like it's like 3 clicks to do it, and it's like it's actually just like settings, integrations, Firestore. It's really just fascinating how little you have to do to get this running. And now we just sit around and wait. We can check in on this. Okay, it's gonna run that. I'm actually just gonna go back to the to this view. So one thing that I love about AI Studio is it started giving you these like these design previews. So it's taking the game and it's like here are 5 different versions of what this game could be. So as part of the vibe coding process, like these are all pretty similar, but all kind of completely different. And now I can kind of make a choice of like, what do I actually want it to be? How do I go from here?
I like the first one personally with
You
the
want to do
with
that?
the
This
I'm a
immersive.
gradient guy, so
Okay. We'll select
cool.
this one. And I like that. I think it's also like wanting me to enable Firestore already. I love this little pop-up
It's
encouraging.
like they knew we were streaming.
Yeah, they completely knew. User to client Firebase setup. But we're doing it in the other one. We'll go back to Firestore. Don't worry. So I kind of have 3 versions of this up because since I know each of these things can take not a while, but like there's a lot of back and forth. Like each model call or each call is maybe going to run for 2 to 3 minutes. Like vibe coding, I think people think you just say hit go and you get the answers right away, and that's not really how it goes. I feel like some of the videos showing it are actually really sped up or have working versions of it. It's like it's thinking through and solving these problems and like writing a lot of code. Like here we're getting our Firestore rules and it's setting up a database. Like there's a lot of stuff it has to do. And I think like I love getting to do this on a live stream because we get to show people what is the actual process here. It's not just I said vibe code this and you get to see like you're actually getting to see my steps as I go through it, albeit all a little split up. But like these are the prompts that I'm actually using here.
I love that you're being so transparent and straightforward about how long this all takes and still showing it live. So
Yeah, because just
wow.
like the things can break. And I more like to think of vibe coding or working with like an AI coding agent. It's a coworker and a collaborator. Like it will run into code errors. Like down here, I've actually got I don't think I have any errors in this one right now, which is
Oh,
great.
you
But
can
it's
see
like
the logs.
yeah, so you could see the logs in here. Do we have this game just yet? No. But that lets you like go in and debug. And I don't have to debug. I could say like, there's actually a little pop-up that comes up. We might be able to get that says like, fix the errors that come up. And there's a lot of that back and forth. And I do think like vibe coding can feel like you're not really doing anything, but you actually do need to have a bit of a pulse on what's going on throughout the whole process, because otherwise it's really easy to get lost or to not have a clear set of requirements for what you're trying to build. There is actually a lot of like thought to it. It's just a very different way of like solving the problems. And I think it's like a bit of troubleshooting, a bit of collaborating, and figuring out like the best way to solve these problems.
Yeah, and just getting used to a different rhythm of working. Like back in the day, I used to be waiting for my Java build to finish building, and now I'm like waiting for the agent to get back to me and having a couple of them running in parallel, just like you're doing now. So same
Yeah,
but
like
different.
right now it's like deploying Firebase rules, and then it failed to deploy them, and now it's restarted the dev server and all this stuff. Okay, we did finally get this login with Google button. We're also seeing there's like 8 errors in here, and it's like missing these permissions, and it says like 2 errors running the code. So I'm just gonna click fix.
Okay, if
Great.
it knows the errors
What-
are there.
And
Okay, I guess I'm
I,
glad it's asking you before it just goes and does stuff, but
yeah, because maybe these errors aren't a big deal, or maybe it wants me to go and try this out. But so it added the login with Google button. Um, so let's see. If I click this. Oh, this is opening in a. It opened it in a like a pop up, but it gave me that like login with Google. Let me see. You'll have to believe me when I click login with Google. It's doing because it's pulling up my username. It knows this is Billy logged in. Let's actually go to the integration. So I went back to this. I'll just do that again. I went back to settings and integrations, and I can click the enabled integration to get more of this information. So I'm going to click to open Firestore, and I'm also going to open the Firebase authentication. So these are like I'm in the Firebase console, and you can also do this in like the Google Cloud console. There's kind of Firestore and some of these and authentication in both of them, which is great because it kind of depends if your Firestore is a little bit more web and mobile focused, and Google Cloud is a little more just app development or like application system servers, a little more enterprise forward. So I've got myself logged in here, and then I have it created my database for me, but I don't, because I haven't played it, it hasn't added any users. So let's do a game. No errors right now, which is good. Okay. The game is still working, which is always a pro. I'm going to just try to catch all the tomatoes to end this early. I was thinking about adding a shortcut to add extra tomatoes. So like when you
huh.
the game. Okay, final score 60. So it didn't add that leaderboard that we wanted. But let's see, like, did it add anything? Did it store my high score? No, so it didn't do any of this. And this is like the vibe coding aspect of this. So let's say like I don't see the leaderboard, and it also didn't save my high score to the database. I'm also doing some voice to text on here, and that's like one of my favorite vibe coding things is like just sitting and talking to your computer. Because you can like get out a lot of information if you just talk through it, and like kind of the more context can be better.
Totally, and it makes your brain work in a different way than it does when you're typing or handwriting. So, and it's accessible.
Yes.
All right, so it is fixing now, and we're gonna
It's
play again. How do we
fix.
know? How do we know when it's like done fixing these errors? Is it gonna like chime or tell us down there?
You can definitely set alerts on the browser to let you know this stuff. I think I always decline them, and then I'm like, is it done yet? And then I'm just looking at it. So yeah, you can definitely like click here and like yeah, I've blocked all the
That's
notifications.
reasonable. We probably don't want it just chiming randomly when we're streaming, but it's good to know that
um
feature exists. So,
yeah, so like now it's like analyzing all of these things and going through. And when I built this before, I was having a similar thing. It's like you are going to want to test this stuff out and run it yourself and see like where it's working. um but I can at least show the database that it had made for me before, once until we get that one up and running. So this is it did two collections in Firestore for me. So I have a leaderboard collection. So this is storing um, it's connected to the user IDs from the um, from the authentication identity platform, which is great. So like this is my my user ID in here, and it's all synced up as like I just heard some ding, so something's done. So we'll go back it a little bit. So this is like my high score when I scored it, and it's all connected to my user ID. I can also go into like player stats and like look this up and pull up like my total number of scoops, because this is another feature I wanted to add later. So again, this is like Firestore, so it's super flexible with like what the schema is and all these connections, and like it's linking these things together kind of by the user ID, but they're not necessarily like, there's not a strong tie to them together. So let's go back. Let's see, what did it do? The background build process is completed. Everything's up to date and you're ready to go. So we are logged in, which is good. I feel like the stream is also just going to become me playing this game a lot, which I'm having a good time.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it's kind of hypnotic and soothing to watch. So, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Done with this game.
Build process completed. Everything's up to date. I'm ready to go. But
So then if
I
we
don't
look
think
at
it's
our
in here. So I'm refreshing the database. And this is where it's like, you could be vibe coding, but when you're starting to move into these next phases, like it's setting up the database, but you still need to kind of know the stuff. I want to reload this app maybe and see, is that going to help? What the background build process up to date? What did it do?
It edited our Firebase TypeScript file and the game canvas.
Final score. Okay, but the score isn't saved still. Let's go one thing at a time. I did a frowny face. I do type with a frowny face when I'm doing these things.
You know,
I wanted to know I'm like a little sad.
I just read a research paper that was like, if you're mean to the AI, it increases the accuracy by like 10%, which I thought was wild. So I'm gonna try like being less polite and see if that improves my vibe coding. But the understated emoji, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that we can also do, and I think is one of the things with AI Studio, which is nice, is you do get the code. So you could import a project from GitHub if you've already got your code in here and want to use some of the tools. But you can also like take a look through the code. So like we can see what it's updating in here and start to get an idea of this. Because also like once you have this, you know, you could publish it. We could throw it up on, like, I think it does it on Cloud Run, or I think Cloud Run, or maybe it's just something
I think you're right.
random. But we could also just download this code and then take it from there. Restarted the dev servers. Okay, so maybe the dev server wasn't correct. But yeah, this is like a lot of code that it's made. It's like, of course it's taking a while to do all of these things because there's a lot of stuff that we're working with. Okay, I'm like so nervous that this isn't working.
And I mean, okay, cut one tomato.
Yeah.
There needs to be a mode where it gives us more tomatoes, because now we only have ice cream and we're trying to end the game. Okay. Yeah, I gotta get one more. There we go.
Final score. Restart the dev server to make sure all changes are picked up correctly.
Are we in, I have to ask, like, are we in the correct console here? Or because you have a couple of different versions of the project open, like maybe this is for the beginner, the one that where we hadn't added like a backend yet.
I will close these out and reopen it, but I'm pretty sure because I went through the integrations view.
Oh, okay, then yeah, that seems like it should be the one that matches up with this project.
And I will say, like, I do still think, like, this is taking time, but like, if I were to go through, read all the documentation for Firestore, figure out how to integrate it with the API, like those things also take time. So it's kind of a little bit of like trade-offs and like figuring out those aspects of like that balance of like what is right for your workflow. The score isn't saved. When the game ends, save the score to the collection, to the leaderboard collection. But I don't have a leader.
Yeah, this is how we know we're
Let's
doing
see.
it. We're doing it live. So,
Oh, well, we finally got this one up and going, so that's
oh yeah,
great.
the gradient one.
The gradient one. There's Pistachio Master. See, this one built, and it doesn't even, you can't even play this one yet. There's nothing happening. I'm moving my mouse around and I'm not getting anything. So, it is all a bit of a journey. I got 20 points and I can't even see what's happening.
Yeah, that needs a little bit of refinement for sure. So,
Yeah. All right. This
okay,
one's still working. Let's go over to this one that is working, because I want to show a few of the things that you can do once this is like kind of up and running a little bit more. So one of the things is like this has access to your database schema. It knows a little bit about like kind of the data you've gotten there. So I can say like write me the query to find the sum of all of the scores for all of the players that I can run in the Firestore console. So, I mean, I don't know what you would use this query for, but I want to be able to come in here and like go into the query editor and run a query here. That way I can maybe take that query and put it in my application somewhere later, or use that, or just get the answer for that thing. And that is one of the things I can do here. Write me the query. So it's working on that. Is this leaderboard going? Reconfigured the database references to point to leaderboard collection.
that seems important.
That is definitely important. Let me know if you hit other snags. I will. And again, more errors in the bottom. Do you hear these dings? It's like, this does feel so summary. Well, let's see what these errors are. Missing insufficient permissions. I mean, that's definitely a an
that
issue.
could, yeah.
But fix it.
Back to our.
Okay, we're
Yeah,
going
well,
back
that's
to this
running. Back
query
to our
view.
query.
I'm just gonna give it a screenshot of this and be like, I'm actually just trying to run it. Acknowledge. I'm just trying to run it in this database explorer. But it did write me like a whole Python script to run and get this query. I think I can actually do like I would basically collection leaderboard, and then I'm not like a Firebase. I'm not a Firestore expert. Like I can't write this query on the fly. What does this even do? This just gets the collection. Query does not compile. Great. It's like, let's see if we can get one thing to work on this stream. That would be great.
Yeah, do we need to tell it that we don't want a whole script, we just want the Firestore query? Or
Yeah, so what I did was I put in the screenshot of this view. So it was like, you're gonna know where we are.
Oh, that's so smart. I'm glad it can like take an image and like understand what's going on in that image, and then make some changes based on that.
You can upload stuff from Drive, you can upload files, stuff from the camera. I could upload a photo of my face being frustrated that this isn't working. Something's ding. Can you hear these dings that are happening?
I heard some of them earlier. I did not hear this one.
Great.
So
wait, the build has finished. It did something in here. I guess it's added my database to the rules. But again, if I'm vibe coding, I think this is how vibe coding works. I think you just keep saying it's broken, fix it. Like I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I think it just takes a moment to get it going.
But if I was building this game from scratch 5 years ago, it definitely would have taken longer than this to get to this point. So sometimes success is a different error message. Okay, what's going on here?
More this Davis AI shared quota limits, pay as you go.
That message was just up there earlier, so I'm not super worried about it.
Maybe I'm just gonna make a leaderboard collection.
Oh, maybe
it should have done this for us though, so that I find confusing.
Yeah,
before I do it, I'm gonna say, please make the leaderboard collection, it does not exist. It's like, let's just be super explicit about that, because it should be able to do that as part of the integration. Also, I want to say a lot of this stuff is super new features. Like, we're really on the bleeding edge of a lot of like these features in here, and like new documentation and things are coming out about these every day. So I think like some of this is like, if you're trying out the freshest stuff, you're getting that mix of trade-offs of like the stuff that like is super fresh, but also like maybe you get actually like new features or something.
You don't need to manually create collections. They are created automatically as soon as the first document is saved to them.
Okay. It was saving to the default database rather than my app's specifically named database.
Oh, that makes sense. So the security errors we were seeing earlier were related to this problem. And hopefully,
Yeah, I think it's like I have like 5 different projects within this, 5 different like databases within this project, and maybe that's part of the issue.
All right,
I'm gonna just be
refreshing.
so happy if we can do this at this point.
Okay, we have a database ID at least.
Yeah, let's just give it all of this. I'm just screenshotting this. I'm gonna say nothing still. Another frowny face. Acknowledging sharing this media. But it's not giving any errors or anything. That's almost worse.
What about, was there another one running where we were trying to query on the one that actually does have a backend still?
Oh, yes. Okay, great. This one, there's this leaderboard aggregate. Let's see if we can do this. Do this query, total score. Database. Dot collection.
So this
query does not compile.
The Query Explorer is in JavaScript by default, looks like.
Is this? Wait, I can also use chat with Gemini. I'm just gonna Gemini help.
That seems useful. Let's try that.
I feel like there's a no-cost version of this though. Get started.
Could you click on no cost when that thing
No, I think that was just, I think I just had to click get started.
Okay, cool.
My query doesn't. That's my fat fingers. My query doesn't what? It doesn't compile.
I do that all the time.
It doesn't compile.
Great, and then you give it the query.
Let's see if we can get a little bit of help there.
It's thinking.
I feel like I've been using Gemini in so many different ways, and like I need to do a better job of keeping all of my parts next to each other. Well, at least we did get this sign in with that works, so that's great. And sign in, sign out. Oh wait, what did I just see a leaderboard? So log in to save your score with a leaderboard. That'd be great. If that were true.
It looks like it's still running in the background, so I imagine it's trying to fix that screenshot that you sent earlier.
Okay.
Oh. Wait, so you need to have imports or?
I don't think so, because it should just be able to like.
Yeah, that'd be weird to have to do your own imports in the Query Explorer. Oh, hey, it worked. Amazing.
Okay, great. So it's this we're able to get that, and then introducing query. Oh, we can also do like a query explanation here.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's gonna like walk us through all the different stuff it's getting. Okay, how's this going? It's running the dev server. That's always gonna make me happy if it's rerunning it, restarting it.
Yeah, I think that's just gonna. Canvas. Oh, okay. Glad we can still read the code, kind of take a peek at what's going on.
Yeah. And let's see, maybe we can add a new feature to this one that is working and is connected to the database. So I'm going to start a new chat with this one because this one actually does work and is connected to my database. And let's say something like, when you catch 10 green scoops, you can unlock a new background. And maybe there's just like something fun that appears. And they don't have to be 10 scoops in a row of green, just 10 scoops total.
Love it.
I was like, why not see what we can get there? And we can add that feature. And then after that one goes, it's like, let's also store that state. So when the users unlocked that unlock, let's store that in our Firestore database.
So can it take multiple prompts at the
I
same
can't
time?
add it, but I've just got it queued up, ready to go because it's updating this canvas and going from there. Let's see. There are also like a few things within this, which was nice. Is like I just click the edit tool, so I can kind of like highlight certain elements. I can say like I don't like the way that looks, or I want to change all of that, or look at different designs for this. So I think AI Studio is one of my like when I'm trying to build like a really beautiful web app or web game, AI Studio is typically where I'll go because it just gives me such a nice baseline and it's like really opinionated about like the TypeScript code it's writing and the frameworks it's using. And I find that all to be very, very beneficial versus just going into something like Anti-Gravity and saying, make me a web app for this. It's like there are a lot of like stuff in the prompts that make that better.
Okay, now
Added this new feature, and let's store that state. So let's tracks every green scoop you catch, just 10 total, mint madness. And it's like now, of course, I won't get any mint ones.
that's just how this works.
This is how it works. You know what I'm gonna say? Make mint scoops drop every other time. They should
Good idea. Speed
super
this up a little
common.
bit.
Yes.
Since we're getting close to the end of our stream while we're doing this, I wanted to encourage folks in the audience. Thank you so much for following along. If you have questions, drop them in the chat, and when we are done here, when we will answer them. But let's see if we could get the mint feature to finish. So
Yeah,
while we're collecting questions,
that'd be a nice way to wrap things up. Let's see there. What is it adding in here? It's like moving so quickly.
okay. Did this one? Okay, this is the same one with the mint scoops.
This is the one with the mid scoops, and then I'm waiting to also make them really common. So we have something good to show. But let me see. I want to pull up some of the other resources we have for this
Yeah,
today
that'd be
that we're going
great.
to be kind of talking about. So we can just take a look through the blog of some of the stuff that you can do. Yeah, I actually haven't played around with the Google Workspace stuff, and I feel like that's like a really great way to say like maybe you've got like you're at your company, maybe you want to take everyone's got like some kind of Google Sheets or Google Docs, and you want to apply some level of like you want to like transform all the documents or aggregate them or be able to do things with them. And the Firebase authentication also works. Is going to work with like a workspace integration. So you can do the sign in with Google and then also get access to like the Google Sheets to do those things and like adding an AI layer on top of those things. And I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to play with. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, this said it ran finished this. You should work perfectly.
Okay, so this is the one where we were trying to add the leaderboard.
Oh my
Oh my
god!
god, it worked! Yay!
That was really
Amazing.
crazy.
Ah,
Okay, and let's see if it put it in the database. Oh my god, it added it to the database.
hooray!
Okay, that's a really big win.
Um,
Honestly, when I was doing this the first time, I mean, it took probably about 30 minutes to do all this anyway. So it does like this stuff can take time. Okay, and then I'm adding this thing to make it super common for that. So great. Okay. My high score is 20. And it ended up coming with like a pretty similar schema to the one we had done before with like a created dot, the score, the user ID. This is great.
awesome.
We've finally have a leaderboard. Wait, do you still have this link that I sent you?
Yes, I think I do. If I click start game, is it gonna like play?
Yeah, I think like you might have to refresh to like also log in. Like make sure you do
Okay,
your
yeah, let me
login.
refresh. I'll refresh so it makes sure I'm logged in.
I'd sent this to Tilda earlier because I was like, I'm gonna send you the link so you can
Right, and
do
it's
that.
asking me if I trust you as a developer, and I do. So, okay, cool. Now you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm playing the game. I'm gonna catch all the tomatoes so that it ends
We hear
quickly, and then
we can hear you playing with all the
oh, that's funny.
that's
I didn't
happening.
realize my sound was on, but after that, then we can wrap up and take some questions. So
I would love
well, I'm
that.
not getting any tomatoes. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, my
And
score.
let's see. Oh
I'm
wait, I
done.
already see you in here. Okay, so you're in the database, which is great. And then when I refresh this to like see the top scores. Okay, you see,
Amazing, huh?
oh my god. Okay. We made a multiplayer game finally. It took us a while, and like I think one of the things with this is like this was a really simple feature we were adding, but I do think like the level of adding this is the same level as adding like a full amount of like crud to your like create, read, update, delete to an application. So like, oh, this took us some time. Again, it was faster than doing this ourselves, and also like moving this. So let's see if this mint thing works now too. That way we can at least get like a double feature of like some of the stuff that we had wanted to do.
Oh, it
Uh,
looks like you're getting a combo there.
you get in a combo. That's also a feature that when I made this, it just like started adding this. Oh my god! I should have kept track of how many mint ones I got. Oh my god!
Ah,
Okay. So this has added the mint feature, which I love. Do you like mint ice cream?
I love
Like,
it.
what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Ooh,
We've been looking at ice cream, and like we haven't even spoken about ice cream flavors.
probably like chocolate chip cookie. I don't know. I need a little texture in it. Mint is nice if it has chocolate chips.
Now I'm
But
actually
there's so many good flavors. It's really impossible to pick a favorite.
I kind of love like a cookies and cream. You know, we're in the Google New York City office. We are in the original Nabisco building where like Oreos
Ooh,
were invented. I don't know if
let's
Oreos were invented there, but like I think they were made. The Oreos were in the building.
huh. All right. Well, since our mint feature works, this is good. Is this a good time to wrap up?
Yeah, well, I want to get into Tomato. Okay, it's
Okay.
got the new score for me, and then I also want to see if it did add this tracking to to the um the aspect. Okay, I
Total
didn't think it
scoops.
added it.
Okay.
So we've got the total scoops. So that was another feature I added. So maybe it wasn't. Maybe it needs a little more finagling to get that. But I wanted to show at least like we were able to add authentication. We were able to get a high score in the end. We were able to add features. Like there are a lot of the parts here, and you know this is very hard to do on a live stream. But
Yeah.
we can do some of our closing thoughts and go over some of the things that we did and like where we're going to take this for next steps.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank
And
you
some
so much for
questions as
taking us
well. Yeah.
through all of this. So Holly Lopez from LinkedIn has a great question. AI Studio now offers one-click integrations for both Cloud SQL and Firestore. For a developer vibe coding their application, how should they decide between going relational or non-relational?
My thought would be like to default always to just non-relational right now. Like I think both kinds of databases can really support most features right now. Um, I think you could look at like query performance on certain things. Um, but I think like really in this like day of development, a lot of it is like based on what your experience is with. So maybe that's why I'm like go non-relational because that's just what I'm more experienced with. Um, but I think yeah, I think like the features can be like pretty compatible. You're getting similar availability, you're getting similar scalability. It's kind of like, well, what is the stuff that you're is more like aligned with what you're trying to do. Also, I think if you're vibe coding, non-relational is going to be a little bit easier as you're adding new fields and features and things. Like you don't have to lock down your schema as much.
That makes a ton of sense. I think we have time for one more question. Carmen Pilardo, also from LinkedIn, asks, what are some simple, fun project ideas I can build using AI Studio, Cloud SQL, and Firestore?
Well, just in that question, I also want to say you're probably going to only want to use one database for or one type of database for your project, like choosing between one or the other. And I actually love to go to in AI Studio. If you want to show my screen for just a second, I go to the gallery view and you can see all the types of applications you can make because there's kind of like a few different frameworks here of like what it's able to do. Like there's this multiplayer snaking. Well, this would actually have been really fun to throw on top of Firestore as well and have multiple people like synced in real time there. Um, if you've got again, I think like web apps are great for AI Studio. I mean, that's what it's gonna make. I think if you're like, I wish my Gemini chatbot would do this thing, or would be able to interact with like images or something, or be able to do that. Like I think AI Studio is a great way to like build a quick layer on top of your LLMs and agents. Like um, just building out like a personal website. Yeah, doing like video and image editing. But then there's also lots of games. So I think the gallery is like what I would recommend to go to be like, what can I build? Okay, these are the types of things you can build. Pick something that you want to build, pick a problem that you're having, or pick something you want to make to like give people a fun time.
Love it. Yeah. Very inspiring. A lot of pretty apps in there. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Billy, for vibe coding like a pro and
Oh my
staying
god.
cool. And thank you, audience, for joining us. I'm excited and inspired to try building something a little more complex with AI Studio than I've attempted previously. But Billy, before we sign off, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we struggled a little bit today, but that being said, in like under 30 minutes of vibe coding time, we were able to add authentication with Firestore and Firebase. We were able to connect a vibe coded app to a database. And we were able to add new features to that application that interact and integrate with that database, and also see ways to query that database, get code to do all of these things. Um, this could have taken hours to do just a year or two ago. So there is so much impressive stuff there, and it's really changing the way that we're going to be developing. We're going to share a bunch of links to go check this out and get started. If you're trying this out, also like find me on LinkedIn, ask me some questions about this. I'm putting out some videos playing around with this a little bit more. Always doing lots of different database stuff and playing with that, and always just curious about what people are trying to do and helping people solve problems. So this has been really fun to have this challenge and have you with me, Tilda, and, and make me feel comfortable trying all this stuff out.
Amazing. Thanks again for walking us through that. For everyone watching, if you want to try building your own game or app or whatever, you don't even need a credit card. You can deploy up to 2 full stack applications on the Google Cloud Starter tier right now, completely free. And we'll see you next time on Google Cloud. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.